My void will consume you, if you ask nicely.
Your will is no longer your own.
Stay away from the voodoo. Toi!
You have led the Horde to a place without honor.
Your petty quarrels only make me stronger.
Our world needs us, champion.
You got it over your head.
We cannot let the world fall to darkness.
Already lost.
Put your faith in the light, and all is possible.
Is it truly righteousness that drives you? I wonder.
It would seem you have guests.
They are coming for you. This is the Whispers of War.
Hello everyone and welcome to Whispers of War, show number 60. I'm your host Sil and it's been a week later. I'm really sorry about that. Those of you who follow me on Twitter might have seen that my boyfriend has been taken to hospital and this is the second week he's been in now. It's getting a bit long now. I want him back home. It's nothing, I wouldn't say nothing life-threatening at this point in time, but it is very painful for him, what's going on, and very stressful for me because I'm a mess without him in the house. Really, I worry a lot, and I just couldn't concentrate on actually doing a show because going to hospital during the day. Luckily I had the week off. Because it was both our birthdays. Mine is on the 1st of November, his is on the 2nd. So it was, we had to cancel everything. We were going to go away, we had to cancel the hotel and tickets that we booked for an event. We all had to cancel it. Luckily those two companies were really, really nice and they said that we could reschedule it without any extra costs. So that is something that, huge weight off your shoulders when that happens, because otherwise you just lose like 400 quid, and that's a lot of money, really. So, still a bit of a sucky birthday though, if you have to spend it in hospital for both of us. But yeah, I was just knackered, after spending a whole day in hospital, you don't really feel like you want to do anything, and I did game a bit to get my head out of the hospital situation. But I just didn't have the energy to podcast, and I was just in a very low mood, and I don't think that makes for really good podcasting. And I just thought, after Blizzcon and seeing all the panels and being a little bit more like hyped and happy, let's just try it. So there we are. So show number 60. What did I do? Well, I did actually a lot of stuff. So let's go with WoW Classic first. Still playing a little bit on the Hunter. I'm just absolutely loving running around in Aubergine. It's just really, really nice doing all those quests. And the weird thing is, I really forgot about a lot of quests. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember going to the turtles and the big skeletons and finding bones, and for some of them you don't even get a quest, it's just exploring, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can pick this up. I really enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun. So I did that, and then I thought, let's see what the Horde side is like again. So I actually jumped onto my Torn Druid, and it's dead around that level. It's so quiet, and I think my Druid is now 34. It's very, very quiet, especially if I go into Ashenville. I'm loving it there. I really enjoy questing there. It's quiet, I love the music, and yeah, I'm having a really good time. So I will be playing that more, I think. I think now that it's died down a little bit and people aren't trying to, rival each other for mobs or quest things. It's a lot easier, and I think it's a lot more fun. I find it more chilled, so I'm really enjoying that. I have to say, hunter management with the pets, wow. My tiger is very unhappy a lot of the times. Or actually I should say Night Saber. Unless I completely stuff all the fish at him, he'll be very sad constantly, so not very good. I need to hunter better, I think. So, had a great time in Classic. And I thought, well, let's just jump into BFA as well. And I actually got the B mount finally. I might have, squandered some gold. I didn't want to do it, but but I just couldn't anymore. I just thought, you know what? I have a lot of gold left on alts that I don't really do anything with. I was going to level them and use that gold. I don't really need that. Let's just use it for something else. So I just... And all of a sudden those jelly prices have just completely dropped. I think because everyone already has the mount now. I'm probably the last one to get it. Really, really low. So just managed to get all of that. And I'm really happy about that. And it's such a... I love the B mount. I didn't think I would love it. But I really do. And I think it's because it has such a big butt. Because, I'm not going to sing the song, but that's what's playing through my head now. I really like the animation of the bee. I really do. So, yeah. I was thinking of leveling many more alts, and I have leveled a little bit, especially with the Halloween event that was going on with the Horsemen and with the Burning Crusade time walking. So I've done that a little bit, but because of everything, I didn't have the chance to do as much as I wanted to, unfortunately. And then of course there was BlizzCon, so I'm not going to keep things too long, just because again, today has been an incredibly busy day, but I did want to bring something out. I didn't want to go 2 weeks without, so I'm just going to leave you with an amazing interview I had with the lovely Ray from WoW Talk. And then after the interview, I'll talk a little bit about BlizzCon and everything that has been revealed regarding the Shadowlands. So I'll see you on the flip side. And with me today, I'm being joined by another lovely young lady who's also in the podcasting world. So it's always really great to have a fellow podcaster here. Welcome, Ray.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
And it's, like I said, it's just lovely having another podcaster on. So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and all the stuff that you do?
Well, as I said, my name is Ray. Usually outside of WoW, I am a QA tester for Activision. I'm off on contract, so I'm getting a bit of a break right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been nice, so I can relax and finally catch up in WoW, right? Because there's always things to do in there.
Yeah.
But for myself, in WoW, I'm a holy priest, and I've been playing since 2007. And I've run the same guild since 2005 from another MMO called Guild Wars.
Wow.
And yeah. So I played from that, and then I continued the guild into WoW. So that's me in there. I do a little bit of everything in the game. I usually raid mythic pluses. I like being an achievement whore. I like playing with the guildies. I do pretty much everything except for pet battles because I'm not good at Pokemon. I like collecting the pets, but I'm just bad at battling them.
Well, you can't be good at... Well, you would be really scary if you're good at everything in World of Warcraft.
Right? Much like my priest, in real life, I also like to cook and bake, so I spend time doing that. Yeah.
That is very nice. I had a lady yesterday who really recommended the World of Warcraft cookbook. Have you purchased the book?
My husband's... So I guess it's stepmom. I don't know is that a stepmom-in-law to me? I'm not really sure how the family tree works.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she actually bought me the WoW cookbook. I haven't used it yet though, just because I'm afraid to ruin the book. I don't want to I don't have a stand to put it on. And when you're cooking, there's flour and crap everywhere. I'm like, oh, it looks like it's a hardback book, so it looks expensive, and I don't want to get oil and stuff all over it. So I haven't used it yet. It looks really cool. Outside of getting the cookbook, I've actually made Hearthstone cookies and Hearthstone cupcakes for a Blizzcon party one year in Minnesota, not at Blizzcon, but I was being creative by myself.
That's really nice. That's really nice. So I already said that you're a podcaster, so I'm wondering if people are like, I recognize that voice. So will you talk a little bit about your podcast?
All right, well, so I'm part of a podcast called WoW Talk. Been doing that since 2013, and it's basically we do everything about WoW, about World of Warcraft stuff. So usually news bites. We do a lot of things about talking about the game itself, what we've done in WoW and stuff like that. So I usually get to talk about all that type of stuff, and then Nick, our host, he'll go ahead and talk about different topics that we like to talk about. any good tidbits on for the week, whether it's patch notes, we do patch quizzes on the fly. We'll sometimes go ahead and just go off the rails, and if there's not enough news to talk about, sometimes we'll log in and talk, and then we'll find an old raid. We'll just start reminiscing and talking about like back in the day, WoW, and then if there's any listeners, we'll just have them, hey, if anybody's Alliance, let us know your name, we'll invite you, and then they'll come with us, and we'll just like do a transmog raid run while we're talking. So it's a hodgepodge. And we also have a secondary podcast for WoW, which is the Torn and the Goblin, which is lore. So but I'm not a part of that one because I'm not good at lore.
It's really funny because when I looked it up and I saw WoW Talk, I'm like, I have that one on my list of always podcasts that I download, and actually I also have the Torn and Goblin. So
Right.
it's such I always am so surprised what a small world it is with podcasts. I'm like, actually I know that podcast, and I know also with blogs, it's like, yeah, I know this one, I've read that one, and oh, okay. And it's just, I think it's nice. I think it's really nice that podcasters really, in general, at least from my experience, do reach out to others. And I think that I find it a very welcoming world. I don't know if you've experienced it like that, but I've never heard any negativity towards podcasters towards each other. But yeah, I like I said, I'm always very, very happy to get another podcaster on. It's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. It's just, you're comfortable in knowing what you're talking about and doing, and I don't know, it's pleasing, right?
Yeah, I think so. All right, so let's jump into World of Warcraft. So you said you play a holy priest.
Yep.
But on which side?
That would be Alliance.
Okay, another ally. What kind of flavor of race do you go for?
So I'm a Night Elf priest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically between that, like, doing Horde and Alliance a while ago, when I was in Guild Wars, one of my guildies was like, hey, you should try World of Warcraft. So I'm like, sure. So I get the game and I'm trying to play, and he's like, pick a character. So I click through, and this is during, I guess would be vanilla, and I'm looking at all the characters. I'm like, man, I don't want to be ugly in game, right? So I picked Alliance because I had Night Elf. I was like, well, I'm already human. Let me pick something different. So I picked a Night Elf, and I heal in Guild Wars as well. So I picked a priest to heal, and so he made one with me, and he made a rogue. He jumped out of a tree and died and got really upset and angry. He's like, can you please just fucking make a undead warlock and I'll help you play? I'm like, sure. So, I'm clicking through. I'm like, no jaw. Man, this is really hard to pick. Not unpleasing to my eye, right? So I was like, geez. So I make one, and we play for a little bit, and he got really angry, and he said, fuck the Alliance, I'll be right back. And I stood in the game for like 4 hours waiting for him to come back, and he never did. And so for me, it was just kind of like, okay, well, this wasn't really that fun. And, while waiting, some random person comes by like, hey, what's up? I'm like, just waiting for my friend to come back. He's like, oh, okay. And then he's like, well, inspects me, I guess. And then he's like, here you go. Gives me like some clothes, some bags, and some money. He's like, good luck. And then left. And I'm standing there like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. And I just stood there like somebody said they were going for cigarettes and they'd be right back and never came to pick me up again. So yeah, so that was my experience with playing as Horde. And I just never went back to playing Horde after that, because it was just very like, well, if this is what this side is like, I'm not going to play that side, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
so.
I kind of understand that. So you talked about, getting into World of Warcraft from Guild Wars. Was it just, okay, we're going to play WoW now, or how did you really get introduced to the world?
So after that, I remember, playing, so I was just playing just Guild Wars, and my, at the time, boyfriend had nagged me for 2 years. Hey, just play WoW. You like healing. I think you'd be really good at healing WoW. And I'd always be like, well, I'm working part-time. I don't want to, worry about my finances. Because, when you're young, and you're working and it's not full-time and you are paying bills, you're just kind of like, can I really afford to do that, So I didn't, I was like, I don't know if I really want to right now. Because, I really got to, student loans, and I'm paying this, paying that. So it's just kind of like, I'm a penny pincher, right? So, just got to make sure I have my shit all situated. And finally, when he was asking me, one of our other friends was there, and he was like, well, I have a WoW account. You can just play on mine if you want. you know. So I ended up doing that and playing. And then I started off with like, you know, some of the guildies that were in Guild Wars playing, and they're like, hey, why don't you play with me, you know? And it never panned out because it was almost the same thing where like, you know, it was their raid time or they're doing dungeons and I wasn't max level yet, and they would just leave. So I was just like, well, at least I like night elves and I like the priest, so I ended up picking my own server. You know, I made the character I wanted with the name that I wanted, and then I had a friend that I was working with. He helped me get signatures to make the guild that I had in Guild Wars into WoW, and then so I started doing it that way. And basically what happened was I had 2 monitors, so I would play Guild Wars on the left screen and WoW on the right screen,
Wow.
and I would heal both parties at the same time.
What? Girl, you have skills!
Yeah, well, my whole thing was like I still wanted a social life and I didn't want to waste my whole day on the computer, so I was like, if I play them both at the same time, I still have my, you know, free time afterwards. So I'm a multitasker and I love doing that, so I would just play both at the same time.
Wow, I'm just like, wow!
Yeah, well,
that is really impressive, because they're both great games that you have to, especially Guild Wars back in the day, you know, it's stuff that you really have to still focus on.
right.
It's
Well,
really impressive that.
what made it really easy for me was just that Guild Wars was you could just use the keyboard for everything, right? You didn't really need to use the mouse. So I would just basically, you keep the mouse on the WoW screen, and then I would just alt tab over and then do all the keyboard stuff, you know, for healing, because you could follow people, because the number pad was how I choose which person I'm following or healing, and then I would just mouse click back, you know, on the WoW screen and then do what I need to do in there. And I actually have when I started playing WoW, all my all the keybinds, like it's the same thing. So if it was something that's in Guild Wars, then it was the same button in WoW for me. So that way, through muscle memory, like I was doing the same thing, you know. So a renew would be my healing breeze, which was 5, it's the same button, you know. A slow heal is 1, which is the same thing, you know. In Guild Wars, I would just put things in the same spot, so it wasn't too different.
That's wow. That's really clever. That's really clever. Have you, just out of curiosity, have you ever thought about multi-boxing in World of Warcraft?
No, I never thought about doing that, because I guess I don't understand the premise other than me being in, like, I don't know, Alterac Valley and there's 4 shamans on top of each other. I'm like, well, I'm dead. This is not good.
No. Fair point.
I'm just like, oh god, it's gonna run away, guys. We're getting stampeded. This is gonna be the Lion King all over again, and we're gonna have a bad time. Just don't be there. Go. So yeah, I never thought about multi-boxing, just because like I take care of all my stuff on my one account with my 80 billion characters, so I have everything. So I just never thought about that.
Okay. Right. Let's jump into your topic for tonight, because at least it's tonight for me already. It's a bit earlier for you.
Yeah.
So you picked running a guild, and I talked a little bit about the girls who have picked this topic lately. And actually, for me, it's really nice to hear that more ladies are actually saying, you know, I run a guild, I run a raid team, because that wasn't really a thing back in the day. So yeah, I'm really happy to discuss that topic. So why did you pick this topic, running a guild?
I think just, you know, since you're tweeted about, you know, females playing and stuff like that, I feel like that was an important part, you know, just because it's always just like in the gaming world, right? Like, you know, where I work, you know, QA testing, it's like a male dominated world, and because it's games. And then same thing when we're playing games, it's always male dominated. And you know, the only time I've ever been in a different guild was when I first played Guild Wars, joined a guild, and their politics or policies weren't what I wanted, because they just promoted people and then tried to make a big guild, but they weren't really like looking out for the people in their guild. So I left, and that's when I made my own guild in Guild Wars. And then I continued on doing that because I liked being able to, you know, organize and set up groups and actually spend time, because I feel like a lot of the bigger guilds, they just have bodies, and it's not really like knowing the people or, you know, making sure everybody gets to do stuff. And I don't want to make it sound sexist, but like being like a mom, right? You know, I don't know if dads think the same way. We're like, hey, let's take care of everything or everyone, but it's a team thing. And I don't know if that's specific to like, you know, females or males, but I don't, most guys are just kind of like, dude, whatever, let's do a thing. And I'm like, no, really, like, let's do a thing, right? And except I mean it, like, I want to do a thing, guys, or whatever. And, you know, it's just being, I don't know, I just care more about doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that's really important to have in there. And plus, I don't know, I don't know anybody else's experiences, but like, I don't have a lot of female friends, you know, because they get too catty. I don't like drama. Like, I've seen it, like, you know, you're like, if you ever played with other people and helping out other guilds, like I used to for raiding back in Wrath and stuff like that, and you would just see them and they would just start yelling about stuff or whatever. I'm like, I don't want this. So like, you know, I wanted rules for myself, you know, of like, I don't want drama, you know, I don't want issues, because, you know, I don't like making drama. I'm not a drama person, you know, so I don't want that in there. I don't want people being assholes. I want you to be helpful. Like, you know, I felt like running a guild would be better for me because I already know what I want, you know, because if I don't want that type of personality headbutting with other personalities, then I don't have to have them there. Whereas if I'm in a guild, you know, they might just be like, oh, you're just being a girl about it. It's like, no, like, seriously, like, someone's being dumb. Like, I don't appreciate that. And you know, sometimes I feel like you don't have the leeway to like do something about it. So for me, running a guild is important because I feel like I pay attention to enough of these things that, you know, I'm addressing issues, or if people come up to me, because we've had that, you know, people have come up with issues and stuff, and, you know, my first thing is to talk to the person, you know, see if I can work it out, and if they don't, then sorry, like, you just can't be here. Like, we can't do this. Like, if you can't be neutral about something, or you can't stop making these issues, I can't have you here. Like, thank you, have a nice life, and just like, goodbye.
No, and I think that's fair enough. I think we've all heard our fair share of drama in guilds. I mean, you know, look at Preach, he's making a whole like series about that anyway. So, have you know, when people get invited to your guild, do they know that the guild is being run by a woman?
Well, so funny, I guess, well, not really funny story. When I was running the guild starting in WoW, it was basically people I knew in real life, and then some of my guildies from Guild Wars are still in my guild in WoW. And like, so it's just people I meet, and, you know, Eric, my husband, who I met in WoW, he's just saying that my name is a girly name, so they always assume that I'm a girl or whatever. So I don't know if anybody ever assumes that I'm a guy when we're playing. So yeah, I'm not sure if people do that. But when, you know, when I talk with people, it's just like inviting the guild. It's always been basically like in real life people, and then they're like friends or significant others. And then, you know, then I have only a handful of people that are in the guild that are people that I met either in Guild Wars or on the server. And right now we have a couple of people that are now guildies from being from pugging them when we were trying to find some people during raid, and we have a couple people that are podcast listeners that are now in the guild because they wanted to be in the guild. So that's yeah, very little like random people, because like I like meeting people. Like the whole rule in Guild Wars was for us to, like, someone wants to join the guild, then, you know, we do a mission together and play, and then see if they're comfortable with conversing with us and communicating, you know, and if we say anything that might or might not offend them, because, you know, if they're gonna get offended, it's not gonna work out, then, you know, hey, you don't have to be here, you know. So it's like their preliminary thing.
That's a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
Have you ever received shtick for being a woman and leading a guild?
No, I haven't yet. Like the only thing I've really gotten was just from someone recently as a pug who had come in to play with us for a little bit, and he was really hung up on gear. And I felt like being female at that moment was hard, because I said that, you know, I was just like, don't worry about gear, like, you need to know the fights, because if you're dead, it doesn't do anything. You're just gonna be on the floor. And having someone tell us, you guys got this, and we're at like 65% at the boss, isn't helping us at all. Like, you're dead. Literally just laying on the ground, not doing anything. And, you know, and he's like, oh, okay, you know, and then like 10 minutes later, he's like, oh, I just got an upgrade for my ring. I'm like, okay, you're not listening to me. Like, it doesn't matter what the hell I'm saying, fine. And like, you know, that was the only frustrating part, but he isn't playing with us now because his schedule changed, so it's now off my back.
Okay, well, that's an easy solution.
Right?
Have you ever, there's a lot of girls I think out there who struggle with like I can tell a story that I had a PvP leader in my guild, and I thought it was a he because it was a male toon. We never really discussed people's backgrounds, so I just assumed me a guy. And then later on, we found out that actually it was a girl in real life. But she never discussed the fact what her real gender was, because she said, to me at a certain point, if people would know, they wouldn't take me serious anymore in PvP and they wouldn't listen to me. What do you feel are the pitfalls for women leading guilds? Do you still think that is a thing nowadays, or do you feel like it's become obsolete, that it doesn't matter anymore?
I still feel like people do have issues with females because, whether it's running a guild or just playing the game, we all know that 85% of the MMO population that's playing a female is probably male.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that has a stigma behind it, because that was a big problem for me, because I have always called someone if we're just playing, I'm like, oh, that guy over there, the druid or whatever, I never call them she just because the female character. I've always just gone to the assumption it's probably a dude, because what happens is as I found out, playing a female character means some of the people go around trying to slash dance or laugh and whatever, and then try to get free gear, money, power leveling and stuff, and that makes me mad because I'm not that type of person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's also broken down, I think, to people playing there are people who play WoW, but they're just really looking for gear. They're not looking to actually play the game, and then it carries the whole stigma of just female players aren't good at WoW, because there's so many of them that just they just really just want to quest and collect stuff, and they don't really know anything about raiding, but hoping that maybe they can pass off as just being there.
Mm-hmm.
And just playing along, because had that before, where we play and someone had gear, but then when the new expansion came out and they went to play, they kept dying 30 seconds within the pull, and then it became apparent well, it's because she's a girl, so her boyfriend got her into the guild, and they kept passing her gear, and she wasn't really that good, and it sucks when that happens, because they ended up not playing with us afterwards. And to me, it just spoke out to you're not really trying to play. We all have no gear, and we're starting this new raid, we have to work our way up. It's not gonna happen magically, so it becomes very frustrating, I think, being female, and that it does still have a stance of just oh, well, you probably are bad at the game. For me, I know we've had female players play, and it's been a very slim percentage of female players that are actually good at playing the game and knowing what they're doing, versus other people who are just there to press buttons and hope that if they flirt enough they'll get their way in, and I get mad at that.
It's that whole being carried stereotype, isn't it?
Yeah, and that happens a lot, I think, just because, like I said, I have very little females in the guild, and they're all either, they just come in and play. One of them, she only comes online to PvP, she logs in, does a couple things, and she logs out. We don't even talk. I was like, okay, it's Eric's best friend's wife,
Mm-hmm.
So she comes in and does her thing and just logs out. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. My best friend, I'm just getting her to start playing a little bit. She didn't like WoW because she thought WoW took me away from Guild Wars 2, so she just hated WoW. I'm like, no, Guild Wars 2 took me away from Guild Wars 2 because it wasn't Guild Wars 1, and
Mm-hmm.
I became, so now she's trying to play with me after we had the discussion, so I have her playing with me a little bit, and she still has the same issues that she had in Guild Wars. And I'm like, hey, you're ranged, please stop standing next to me, because I'm on my warrior, and she's playing a mage, and I was like, you see me on melee, I was like, you're doing the same thing that you did in Guild Wars. I'm like, stand back, ranged, don't take extra damage. And it's just funny because I'm trying to teach her to be more aware of it so she can become better if she decides to want to play a little bit more than what she's doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just all about teaching and being able to be critiqued in a way that you're not, someone's not yelling at you, they're just telling you what to do better, and the other person needs to be able to not get butt hurt, because that's a big female thing, right? Everybody gets their feelings hurt and they get upset. It's no, really, we're trying to help you be better at this, this is what you need to do, let's work on it.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you feel that women online, and this might be a really mean question, but do you feel like sometimes women online take things more personal?
I do. Yeah, I've tried to help some females like with playing games, and then they want to come raid with us. It's like, okay, I made a priest, here you go, and they pick the same spec, and I'm looking at the Warcraft logs. I'm like, well, all you hit was flash shield a billion times. Like, you have these other traits, and I put down a whole, like, this is what you need to work on, and this is how it works. Use circle of healing here, flash shield if someone's really dying, like, what to put in when, and just trying to explain it, and she just didn't really like respond to that. And I know I wasn't being mean, but she didn't take it as I'm gonna work better, or I want to be better, or I want to figure this out. And she didn't ask questions, and then it became like an issue of like, does she think I'm being mean to her? Like, this is me helping. I'm not even yelling at you right now. What has happened? So I feel like if that does happen, where you're just like having the conversation, all of a sudden it's like, what? And then they shut down and don't say anything. I'm like, well, I can't help you if you're not willing to receive the help.
Mm-hmm.
And like, guys are the same way, but with guys, like, you can actually yell at them. I've yelled a lot. They know when I'm really angry.
That's not always a bad thing when people know that this is the line, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have any good tips for any girls out there who are like, you know what, this has convinced me, I think I need to, I want to start a guild, but some girls get a little bit anxious because of all the stories that you hear. What tips do you have for any ladies out there who want to start their own guild?
I mean, if you're looking to start a guild, I would definitely make sure that you're comfortable with who you're playing with. If you're not comfortable, don't worry about inviting them. I know a lot of people look out for like their gear score, or they're looking out for, they have this, they have that. Like, make sure you have the people that are in your guild, that people that you're comfortable playing with. Communication's a really big thing. Whether the other person is a guy or a girl, you definitely want to be able to communicate with them, because if they can't communicate back, you're just gonna have trouble right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest thing. I think that's a big struggle for a lot of people with guilds. If you're not communicating and just socializing, it's just going to make it that much harder, because you can't help them, and they're not going to ask you for help. And then if you try to talk with them and then they like stop talking or they leave, it's because they're uncomfortable, and that's not your fault. They are just uncomfortable, and they have to find a way to work their way up into doing stuff with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think, go for it. If that's something you want to do, just know that it's not just having, you're not just having a bunch of bodies in there, that you're doing stuff, and that you have like almost like a mission statement, right? Like, this is my guild, and I'm looking to do these things. So you want to find like-minded people, regardless of gender, to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have to whip a guy into shape because they're angry because you're a female, then they're probably not meant to be in your guild, because they're probably an asshole.
That's a good tip, I think. All right, so do you have anything else that you would like to say about your main topic before we jump into BFA?
Not too much. I mean, other than doing stuff, there's just, when you're playing, and running the guild, like, I know to make sure it's inclusive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's 5-man, 10-mans. I have a platform. We use Discord because there's voice,
Mm-hmm.
and you make a bunch of channels, and try to get everybody to get together to do things. Like, I myself personally, last month we had a couple of guildies fly in or drive up, and we had a guildie party here.
Oh, nice.
So we met in real life for people that don't live in Minnesota, and we just had fun. So
That sounds really nice. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Let's jump into BFA.
Sure.
What are you most impressed with in BFA, and what are you the least impressed with?
I feel like I was probably most impressed with just being able to have new zones. That's always the funnest thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, being able to like go around to different places and exploring things that you haven't seen like 8 billion times. I know I just am helping my best friend, and I'm like, there's Fiona with her card again. There we go. Shoot. But yeah, I really enjoyed being able to do that. And now that, I've unlocked flying, being able to actually like look at it as a whole is pretty cool.
Okay.
Because definitely in Zuldazar, I'm really bad, but like, I am trying to find my way around, and there's this giant ass mountain, and I have to now go around the whole entire fucking thing because I can't find the road to get there. There's too many trees and life in the way. for me to get around. But yeah, it's really cool to be able to see all the things. That's what I like from it. The least impressed probably is didn't really like the stat squish. Because the numbers, I don't know. I mean, they could probably just put an M or a B or a T and not have to have, 16 strings of numbers across the board. Because with that and the eye levels, go down, it makes it hard. I'm like, oh yeah, because 251 gear, and now you can't say that because now like it doesn't belong during Wrath. Now that's a number like later on or whatever. And Azerite traits, I'm not a big fan of that either. I think for me it's not any different from tier sets, because I know I miss having tier gear so you can have like matching sets. That was kind of cool, and I understand that they're trying to take away from the whole like I'm gonna hold on to my gear because I like this bonus set even though it's from like 2 raids ago.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't understand like you need the stats. They outweigh your probably piddly bonus set, but Azerite traits are pretty much the same. It's just like now a smorgasbord you can pick, but people are still like finding a way to bitch about it, and that's just frustrating because I have to hear about it a lot. And it's just like, I wish people would stop complaining about stuff. I'm like, why are you still playing if you have to complain about one thing, they change it, and then you still complain about it? So yeah, I just stick with my one piece. I'm like, I'll deal with it and figure out how to play.
Okay. I think the Azerite, I think so many people have said that, even with the new things that they've implemented for it. I can't say I'm a big fan. So yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Do you have any good tips for the listeners when it comes to BFA? It could be a way of playing or just things that you've discovered, or any sort of tip really.
I think that playing with your guildies and our friends is really important, because now that you have, catching up people or doing the world quests or trying to unlock flying or whatever, like being able to converse and play with your friends and socialize, it takes away the whole chores that you're doing. Now you're just online having a good time and playing. I've being someone who runs a guild, I'm like, I unlock flying. If anybody is having trouble or they don't have time to play and you want to get your flying, let me know. I will fly you around. I will cart.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm like, I will cart your ass around. Just let me know when you're free, and I will take you to wherever you need to go. And you don't have to be upset about, whatever's happening on the land, because I had to do it. I get it. I get people are busy, So I'm just trying to squeeze in that time and help out when I can. So yeah.
That's really nice. Okay. My next question, because this can be taken as broad or as small as you want, or you can talk about different groups, but what has the Warcraft community meant to you personally?
The community itself, like if we're looking at the whole aspect of like within game, I stopped spending a lot of time in like trade chat after Wrath, because they had changed the system from, playing with the people on your server to you can play with whoever you want, which is good and bad at the same time, because it kind of killed the community. Because now it's like, I'm gonna go rogue and play with whoever I want, and I get what I need, and I'm out. And that kind of sucks, because then, if we have people that are at work and we have to pug a couple to fill in the spots until they either come in or not, then, then we have those people with that mindset. And I'm always someone who's looking for like getting guild credit, the guild achievements, and getting it done in one shot. And it just makes it harder if people don't really care about that. I've had one of my other guildies who had let me know, like, once Classic comes out, he's not going to be playing playing with us because Classic, and and we had a conversation in Discord for a little bit talking about it, and that was his whole thing, was just talking about the community, because it's playing together with people, having conversations, and how it's not the same anymore. And and I try to bring up points of saying that, like, we have, like, our guild as a community, like, that's us playing together, and if you can't talk with your own guildies or have fun with them, then that's gonna make it hard. And you got a kid, and raiding back then, I believe, took a really long time to get a group together. And then if you lost someone, then you had to start all over. I can't even remember. It's been so long. I don't remember aspects of raiding back in Classic, because I started at the end of BC. So yeah, and it was just kind of me questioning him while he's telling me, you know, just to figure out the whole community thing.
Are you going to jump back in Classic when it launches?
I don't think so. Like, I might make a character, I might make the guild if people want to like have, you know, something around, but for me, it's just kind of like, you know, I like getting the achievements, and if it's not going to apply to stuff in retail, like, it's not really going to work for me, I think, because I can't sit in front of the computer like 27 hours in one day, because it takes like a lot of time to level up to max and then to get the rating, and, you know, what is it, like 6 hours per level or something crazy, because, you know, I just feel like I think people don't realize that, you know, the nostalgia versus like how much time you had as a kid versus like now, because there's so much more responsibilities that you have in real life, unless if they're going to get sucked away from that, which really sucks, because you need to discipline yourself and not sit there for like hours on end and forget about your entire real life world responsibilities.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I've heard from many, I think also hardcore players in retail, that they're probably not going to invest a lot of time in Classic. So yeah, okay. And now we come to the final question, and also the weird one, as always.
Right.
Which is, what is your whisper? And for those new, your whisper could be basically anything. So it could be a wish that you have for the game, maybe any game mechanics that you want to see implemented or taken out, a bit of theory crafting about the story. So what would your whisper be?
It's probably something that every time Nick asks me, I say the same thing: the 71-point talent tree. You know, it would be, except it would be more now because we have, you know, higher levels. But I liked it more back then because you were able to be more unique in your play style and putting in what worked for you. You know, and it was just more fun that way. Like, you know, now that it's all cookie cutter and stuff like that, or you can only choose from one of these three, and it's only up to level 100. You know, me playing like something like LFR, and I'm getting whispers from like other peelers telling me like, hey, if you need help with your healing, I'm like, I don't need help with my healing. I don't play the same way. I'm not looking to pad the meters, because I can put out big numbers, but if I'm number 1 or number 2 in overhealing, I'm not happy. You know, my goal is to keep everyone alive, keep my mana, and also usually be the last one alive, you know, because in raid, if we're wiping, I'm shadow melding, so I can just mass res instead of spending another 3 minutes running back to that place. So, you know, my mindset of playing is not the same as everybody else's, and I wish I would stop getting whispers from people telling me how to play the game. Like, dude, you don't play in my raids, like, you don't know how we play. I play to the play style of how everybody else plays in my group, not your group, and this is LFR. Like, nobody died, get over it. You know? Yeah.
And, you know, I've actually heard more people say that they just wish it was a bit more how it's, not even how it used to be, but, you know, that you have a bit more creativity when it comes to spending your talent points and knowing, okay, well, I want this talent, I want this, and this, and it shouldn't really, you know, because how many people go to either Icy Veins or something like Noxic and just check, okay, so which ones do I need? Okay, this, and this. Okay, done. It almost feels like, well, why do you even pick if everyone is going to pick the same, or almost everyone is going to pick the same anyway?
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's yeah, it's pretty frustrating, you know, or like people always talking about, well, this mage's spec is better than that one. It's like, well, I've seen plenty of people who play fire mage that are topping the charts or whatever, versus, you know, you telling me that arcane is better than this, than frost, or frost is better than whatever. And, you know, it's just how you play the game, you know, if you know. And plus, I'm sure RNG has something to do with your procs, because it happens. You know, yeah, I just think having the variety, or maybe they shouldn't have pruned too many spells and abilities. They took that away. It's same thing. It's the whole thing about being unique to how your playstyle is, and, you know, having a variety of spells is great, because, you know, you come down to look at it, and it's like, if you're a football team, we don't need 25 quarterbacks. We just need one quarterback, and we need other positions filled, and someone might not be as good as doing one thing, so somebody else will make up for it. But, having everybody do the same thing just makes it kind of bland, I think.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. That would be a nice change, I think, if that would happen. All right, Ray, thank you so much for the interview. If people want to find you and the podcast and everything else, where can they find you?
Well, mostly you can find me at Facebook at my name, so it's Ray Liu, it's REILIOU, and the URL from there will be my Twitter handle, which is at Bishone no Miko, which I know it's really long, but that's why I tell you to go to Facebook, so you can just copy and paste that. And so that's my Twitter handle. And Discord I'm also on all the time, which is the same thing. It's Bishone no Miko with a #4932. And then if you want to listen to the podcast that I'm in, that's WoW Talk. You can find that on our site at mashthosebuttons.com, which our podcast is through different various platforms like iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, Player FM. And lastly, you can find WoW Talk also on Twitter at WoW Talk MTB.
Perfect. And I'll make sure that all those links are also on the show notes. Just because, like you know, me, I'm a horrible speller, so I always like to click links. So I'll make sure that those are in the show notes. Ray, thank you so much for taking the time and being an amazing guest.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. I hope you enjoyed that interview. It was lovely talking to Ray. And, you know, hopefully she'll want to return in the future. So let's jump into all the BlizzCon announcements. Now, I love all the Blizzard games, if I'm honest. I'm not a big person on Hearthstone. I love it, but I just can't play it. So that's you know, I didn't watch all of those announcements, but I saw dragons and that looks cool. But let's just keep it to World of Warcraft for this one, because I think there's enough to talk about, really, even though I can't wait for Diablo 4. Honestly, that looked really, really dark and I love it. Right. Shadowlands. Now, we know that this has been leaked, and in all fairness, they joked about it themselves, which I felt was quite funny. But let's talk a little bit about what the Shadowlands is and things like that, and what I really feel about. So, a new expansion, Shadowlands. Apparently we need to die for this. So we're going to go to what lies beyond, you know, behind the veil. And I completely dig that, because this sounds so wrong, but I like anything that has to do with death. But I find that parts of games very interesting. Anything that's a little bit darker, or, you know, when they talk about the afterlife or anything like that, I think is really cool in a game. So just seeing how this part of World of Warcraft really plays out and what it entails is just, you know, something we haven't seen before. And I quite like it that, you know, they joked about the whole, it's not going to be a continent again that all of a sudden we've discovered, because this has always been there. Yeah, and it gives so many unique opportunities for us to run into characters and lore NPCs that we haven't seen for a long time, because they died, and now we can maybe run into them again. So we're getting 5 new zones. They all look great, I think. So we have Bastion, and for some reason that just makes me think of Overwatch, if I'm really, really honest. But Bastion is... I'm just going to read out what the website says. So, those who have lived a life of service are drawn to Bastion to assume the highest duty of all, carrying souls to the Shadowlands. Amongst Bastion's gleaming spires and sweeping vistas await challenges to test the mettle of the steadfast Kyrians. I believe this is the area where you get the... I think that is with the Valkyr, isn't it? I think that's where the Valkyr are from, or this is their territory. It looks really nice, and I saw little owl people. Come on, it's owl people, you know. I used to play a Moonkin for years when there wasn't a glyph of stars. So, yeah, I really thought that was cool. Then there's Ardenwald. I'll read that again. A vibrant afterlife for those closely connected to the wild. Ardenwald is, or Ardenweld, is it Weld, is a domain of endless restoration tended by the mystic Night Fae. Within these eternal forests, massive dream trees draw in a precious anima, soul essence to feed the spirits of nature awaiting the rebirth. I liked how they said in the was it the Q&A that they said that Ardenwold is what the Emerald Dream is. So Emerald Dream is spring, summer, and Ardenwold is more like autumn and winter. Autumn and winter are my favorite seasons, so I'm really, really digging it. And I think the artwork for it is also really cool. I like it that there are Fae there who look more like as if they are from A Midsummer Night's Dream. Is that yeah? And that really, I don't know, it just really resonates with me. And I think probably also because I played Druid for so long, it's still one of my favorite things to see. Anything that has to do with the wild and you know, the demigods and things like that. So yeah, and the fact that we're going to run into scenarios, I think is really, really, really cool. Then there's Maldraxxus. Within war-torn Maldraxxus, might of all kinds might make right. Here in the birthplace of necromantic magic, those who master the power of death turn legions of ambitious souls into relentless undead armies. So this is where the Scourge, I wouldn't say created, but this is their origin. So this is where they came from. And I think, you know, as they explained, it's not just for being evil or anything like that, but it's for, I guess, people who are quite powerful or just strong in a certain way, something like that. I know that Draka is in there, Thrall's mother, so or Goel as he likes to be called now. So that's interesting. Because I wouldn't really like associate her with Scourge or Necromancer. So yeah, really, really interesting, and it looks kind of cool. I like the looks of it. We'll have to see with that one. I think that one is really on the fence, but I hear a lot of people being quite enthusiastic about that one. And then I think everyone who is a little bit emo, no offense, loves this one. In all fairness, I love everything that has to do with vampires and werewolves, so you know what? I'm digging Revendreth. So Revendreth is a realm of looming keeps and gothic villages. Revendreth is home to the Venthyr, the harvesters of sin. The wretched souls of who arrive here may find penance for their misdeeds, or merely indulge the appetites of their keepers. That's very interesting. I would like to know more about those appetites, but yeah. So this is basically hello to Transylvania, and we'll see Killfuss there. I think we'll find many, many baddies there. I wonder if we'll see Arthas there, in all fairness. I really wonder if we get to run into him. I also want to know if we'll run into Varian somewhere. And if Anduin is going to meet him, if Anduin is coming with us or not. Yeah, I'm loving this. So I'm a bit torn at the moment between Revendreth and Ardenwold. I think I might have to go with the vampires this time, if I'm honest. My rogues definitely will. I think my druid will probably go with Ardenwold, knowing her. So then we have that, and then of course there's the Maw. So to be cast into the Maw is to be doomed to a bleak eternity. It is a tumultuous, hopeless land where the vilest souls in the cosmos are imprisoned forever. Should the ancient evil chained here break free, all of reality will be consumed. So you have the jailer that we've seen in the cinematic. If you haven't seen it yet, what are you doing? Go watch it. And it looks... So Sylvanas is not working for him, but she's helping him maybe? Maybe she wants him to be free then? Maybe she wants reality to be consumed? I don't know. This makes now a little bit more sense what Samdi did, because he was saying that, you know, all the souls needed to go somewhere, maybe, and that otherwise someone was going to get angry. Is that going to be the jailer? Maybe? I don't know. Maybe that's it. yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what's going on here and if we get more explanation about all of this. So at least we get 5 new zones. There's a new player hub called Oribos, the Undying City. So I guess it's like a Dalaran, but then a little bit different. We get Covenants, which I think is really cool. So with this, I guess it's going to be Horde and Alliance that are going to be, you know, you'll see around there. But with War Mode on, that's going to be very interesting. That's going to be interesting. I don't know how we're going to do that, but you get access to your Covenant's Sanctum, where you will get new quests for you. I think also a lot of the things there that you get trained in are especially for your class and your Covenant. So you get some unique things, unique flavors to your classes. And I think that's something that people have wanted for a very long time. So yeah, I like that they are focusing a little bit more on the uniqueness of your class. So we're getting our buffs back, and they didn't say that if druids got their buffs back, but rogues get their poisons. All of the rogues get their poisons, which is good. You get nice Covenant rewards, transmogs, mounts, abilities, the Sanctum, of course. And yeah, I really think it looks cool. So far, I can't see any negatives, if I'm really, really honest. What else have they said? So there's going to be a big tower, lots of battles, dungeons, and the Tower of the Damned. So it's a continuous changing dungeon. That could actually be interesting to see, something that you know you can't really learn beforehand. I guess it's yeah, will keep you on your toes. I will probably really fail at this. Leveled up leveling. Now this is something that I'm really, really interested in, and this is why I took a break slightly from leveling after the announcements, because they said that the leveling cap is going to be 60 now. So we're going to, when you're 120, you're going to be squished to level 50, and then you have to level from 50 to 60 in Shadowlands, which is not a bad thing. You know, I know that some people are really like, oh, I don't, why do we still get boosts? Because if you buy a boost now for 120, you'll just be level 50. So it's still a bit the same. I don't know why you would want to buy a boost, because they have said that leveling is going to be 60 to 70% quicker once this comes out. So yeah, that is a big difference. I'm wondering how heirlooms will work, and all those things. So levels 1 to 10 is a new journey for new players. New characters will embark on an introductory voyage to learn about everything there is to do in Azeroth. So it's you know, including your first mini dungeon, so it's like a tutorial area. I wonder if you know, because people who listen to this, I presume you're not a new player anymore. I'm thinking that they will just give you the option, like, do you want to do this? And I think I will. I think I want to see what sort of tutorial they've made. But then normally you can just start from level 10 and then level your way up to 50. You can play anything. So if you just want to play BFA for, you know, 40 levels, that's what you can do. And I don't think that's bad. So everything scales. You can go anywhere. If you wanted to do Pandaria, just Pandaria, you could do that. And then maybe go back. You know what? You've done Pandaria. You're level 40. You still have 10 levels to go. Oh, what the hell? I'll just go to Burning Crusade or something. And you can just do that. I think that's really cool. I like that. I like that freedom. I like the fact that it doesn't take you forever anymore, and it doesn't, you know, the story is mixed up anyway, so why not? And the fact that they've put Chromie in there, I like that. That makes more sense now, I think, than the timeline we actually have in game, because we don't have Classic anymore, because that all got changed with Cataclysm. It's a mess anyway. It really is a mess. So yeah, I'm happy with this. I'm really happy with this, and yeah, I'm looking forward to leveling, actually. I think I might still level something, just because it's going to take forever on before PF or before Shadowlands is coming out. And I have to do some stuff. I'm not a raider, so leveling is my thing, you know, leveling and RPing, so that's... I have no choice. And I think probably, I don't know, when the Volpera come out, that's probably what I'll be doing. And then at 50 and 60 we can go to the Shadowlands. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So you can already pre-purchase it. I think I did that last time with the BFA expansion. So there's actually 3 editions at this time that are digital. So you have the normal base game, which is just the Shadowlands edition, and everything that comes with it. That's just the game. So you just get the game. You have the Heroic edition. So that's everything in the base edition, which is just the game, plus a level 120 character boost. Now, I'm going to assume that you have to, if you want this, do it before Shadowlands comes out. So maybe not buy it on the day of release, because that character boost is going to be void, isn't it? Unless they immediately say, oh, you can boost to level 50, I think? I don't know. So you get instant access to the Ensorcelled Everworm. I think that's the word. Which grants a quest for the vestments of the Eternal Traveler Transmog set. Okay, so that Transmog set, guys, actually looks really cool. I think it looks really, really cool. The character boost, hey, why not? You know, if you don't want to really level normally, why not? But can we just talk about this mount? Now, I've heard many things about this. So it's been called the Armored Dildo. It's been called the Armored Sperm. And yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting looking. I have nothing against it, but I don't know how I feel about this, really. I don't think it's going to be a mount I'll be running around on a lot. So yeah, that's my opinion. Then the Epic Edition, which is the most expensive of them all. So you get everything that is included in the Heroic Edition, including your sperm mount. You also get 30 days of game time. That is not a bad deal. And an Anima Wormling pet, so that's a baby sperm. And an Eternal Traveler's Hearthstone. I have no idea what that is, but it looks cool. I'm just going to see if they have any explanation about that. Okay, and looking at the video, it is basically a new animation for your Hearthstone, which is great. You know, it looks really cool. So, you know what? I like the baby sperm. I think it looks really, really cool. I don't know how many people I've offended with this now, but, you know, So, yeah, that's really cool. You can opt into joining the beta. If you have not done that, you might, even though people say, oh yeah, I always opt in for everything, check your account just in case you're not opted in, because, you know, if you want to check it out as soon as possible, make sure you're in there. So, yeah. No idea when this is coming out yet. This could be another 2 years. So, yeah, I think I do need to level in between a little bit. But I might keep some of my other characters, you know, on the long term of, okay, you will be used for Shadowlands later with the leveling. And just see how that works. Maybe I'll level 1 or 2 characters. So I'm actually really looking forward to this expansion. I know this is I've heard many people say, oh, what, no new classes, no new races. What's up with that? Why is the level squish happening? Actually, I'm really happy with that. I like it that they're going a little bit back to basics, I would almost say. And I think that's just a bit how popular Classic has been. That's my thought train. I think they've seen how popular Classic has been and how many people just loved it and are still playing it. And I believe that that's why they want to go back a little bit to the basics and make everything, you know, a little bit more flavorful. So yeah, the storyline is something I'm looking forward to. I'm not a Sylvanas hater, but I am getting Gul'dan flashbacks with how much we see of this character every expansion. And I'm getting a little bit bored, just a tiny bit. You know, I had it with Gul'dan that I thought, oh, just kill him already, because I'm so bored with it. Also, I thought Gul'dan's ending was really like, what the hell? Because it just ended like that, like it didn't matter at all. You know, all these expansions and it just fizzled out. I'm kind of hoping that that's not the case with Sylvanas. I think, you know, it would be nice if we actually get like a really wowing story, like you were like, what happened there? But I am getting a little bit sick of just seeing her. I do think the cinematic was really cool. I know that a lot of people were like, oh, it was so underwhelming and blah blah blah. Yeah, maybe when you compare it to BFA, probably. But on the other hand, you know, I like how loose ends are being tied again, and you know that we actually have gone back to Bolvar, and of course Bolvar will need to meet up with his daughter now that he's no longer the Lich King. So it's going to be interesting. And yeah, no, I'm happy with this. I'm really, really happy. I don't see a reason why I shouldn't be playing this game. Now, I have not done my pre-order yet. If I would probably go for the heroic one, the most expensive one, because, you know, I'm a consumer whore. But, talking about me being a consumer whore, I really want to know what's in the collector's edition, if we're going to get one. And with the collector's edition, I mean the physical one. I did not... So, my collection is, I have them all, except for one. I do not have BFA, and that is just because I didn't want that book. I wanted an art book. I've always bought the collector's editions because I wanted an art book. That's the only reason why I spent that much money. And it just didn't come with that. And I just thought, you know, yeah, it's a great story. There's some art in there, but it's not all just dedicated to art. So I'm not getting BFA. Even though it broke my heart a little bit that my collection was like, okay, digital one. But I want to know what is going to happen with the physical collector's edition. If it will have an art book, what will be in there, those kind of things. You know, do we get a mouse pad again? And until I hear anything, I'm not going to buy this expansion, not yet. But I might cave. I've done that in the past. So we shall see. But for now, I'm going to just think that I'm going to buy a collector's edition in due time. So yeah, that's where I stand with all of this. There's many things to do. The one thing I'm a little bit concerned about, and I have not really heard about that at the moment, is how, you know how nowadays, like, we go into things like the Lich King raid to get invincible, or we go to dungeons like heroic Sethic halls to get Anzu. How does that work when we get this expansion? Because everything is scaling. Does that mean that when I go in at 60, is it level 60 for Shadowlands? You know, if max leveled, so what, everything is then back to normal, or how does that work? Or is it just like 10 levels below me? That's a little bit like my worry. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I'm sure that they, you know, they had anticipated that people are like, oh, what about my mount farming? So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. That's all I can say. I know I'm like a broken record when it comes to it. I don't see any negatives at this point in time. I've never had that with any expansion, not even Warlords of Draenor, so I always feel like during the game is when we really see the flaws coming out. But so far, I like where we're going. I really like where we're going, so I'm ready to die in game and to travel to the Shadowlands. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it with this. I'm happy that at least there's a show out today. It might not have been my greatest one. At least you had a really good interview. But everything around it was a little bit chaotic. I'm hoping that, you know, in a few weeks' time it will be back to normal. Hopefully he will be back home. That's the big one. That's the big one. So thank you for all your well wishes, because I've gotten so many messages over Twitter again. Honestly, 2019 has been such a bad year for us. It's not been a great year. I'll be happy when I can say the end to 2019 and start fresh and hopefully with a very good 2020. Let's hope so, right? So yes, thank you again guys for being patient, and of course you can contact me. So let me just give you all the details of where to reach the show. You can find the show, of course, on Podbean, so go to whispersofwar.podbean.com, or you can find me on Twitter at whispers_of_war, and my personal one is McMonkeys with a Z. Email whispersofwarpodcast@gmail.com. I am going to stream again on Twitch once I don't have to go to hospital anymore. So it's twitch.tv/McMonkeys with 2 Zs or Zs. And join us on our Discord server. So go to dragonpoweredstudio.com/Discord, where you can find us on a very lovely Discord server, and we talk a lot about podcasts and other geeky and gamery things, where you can find other podcast hosts, and we do game nights as well on Saturday, or it's not a night, it's a day, it depends where you are, which is a lot of fun. I haven't been able to do it in a while now, just because, you know, life, but it's a lot of fun. If you like a bit of werewolf, yeah, you definitely want to join. It's a lot of fun trying to accuse each other. So yeah, hopefully you guys will join, and hopefully I will see you guys next week. I will try to do the normal segments, so there's still some RP, don't worry. For those of you who hate it, don't worry, I will come back. So I'll do all of that next week, and I just hope that you guys have a lot of fun. If you've already bought that sperm mount, I would love to see some pictures of you on it. And I'll hear from you next week. Bye-bye.
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.